NRL season kicks off March 2 in Vegas. We've got 6 Mowers shows between now and then. Basically, we're doing a dive into the teams heading into the 2025 season. We're breaking down the whole comp, few teams a week, and we're going to finish in time for the season to start. Each review starts and ends with two big questions this week, which is the 2 big questions. One reason why they can make the 8, one reason why they can't. Now, you've called for the Broncos. You want to know why they can win the comp, why they can't win the comp.
Let's start with the Broncos, because I don't think we should be piling them with the same sort of bottom 8 teams from last year. I think it was a bit more of a blip on the radar. But Steve from Dubbo's chimed in straight away. He's laughing his head off here. Broncos to win. Obviously, SEN don't do mandatory narcotic testing for their employees. Well, Steve, I did preface at the start of the show, I am on codeine, thanks to a wisdom tooth removal less than 48 hours ago, but I have got a prescription for it, so it's all above board. So is that sort of impacting my decision-making? I don't think so. I've had the view before I started taking this sort of run of codeine. But you haven't given me any reasons, Steve. This is what the segment is. We need reasons why and why they can't. So text in. I want you to have something up your sleeve.
Text in or give us a call if you want to give us a call.
Steve.
1300 01 1170 is the number to call if you want to get involved. Now, do you want to start with the Broncos?
Let's start there.
All right.
We don't have to go, exactly in order because they're a bit different. As I said, I think the Wars and the Titans, we can probably look at the top 8, but Broncos, I want to go even further. And any Queensland listeners, feel free to have your say. We want to speak to you or text in. And we've already got one, actually, from Michael. Good morning, boys. Why the Broncos can win the premiership if Reece Walsh returns to top form and if Pat Carrigan loses the man bun. Ooh. Yeah, well, I'm not sure about the second point, but the first one, definitely.
What do you make of the man bun on a big forward?
Oh, look, I mean, it's not my sort of go, but it's 2025, Barney. This is what the boys are doing these days. I think it's play on. Would I tell Pat Carrigan to cut his hair? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't, because he'd take my head off. I agree certainly with the first point, Michael. So if I'm looking at like year on year, how a team can really bounce back. Well, Broncos, you can probably go 1 year further. You go back to 2023, minutes away from winning a comp. And we're certainly not having this conversation now.
They're a Nathan Cleary away from
winning a comp. If he doesn't put a Superman cape on, then they're our premiers. But look at last year. I look for where teams can make really quick improvements, not so much who they've signed or whatnot. Adam Reynolds played 13 games last year. Reece Walsh, the bloke that Michael just mentioned, he played 14 games. Payne Haas, he played 14 games. That's their 3 most important players straight away. They've only played, give or take, half the year. So immediately, I know this can happen to all clubs, and you take, every club has obviously a big chance of injury. But when you rip 3 of your best players out and only give them half the year, you're automatically starting from, behind the 8 ball. Also, their draw, which you can't often say for the Broncos, because they are such a big team, they usually get the big draw card games.
They were usually just locked in Friday night, 8:30. Here we go.
Yeah, and they would usually get the better teams because that would rate well on that big primetime spot. However, this year, so they play the Panthers only once. That's at Magic Round.
That helps.
So they play them.
So they're at home.
That's an away game.
It's an away game at home.
At home. So there's
How do they keep managing to do that?
There's one little leg up they get. I know it's only one game, but these all fit into reasons why they can definitely finish high up the ladder.
Just on that, do they make the Broncos at Magic Round, because they keep getting the away game, do they make them go into the away dressing room?
I think they do.
Good.
I think they do, yeah. That would really mix with your head, wouldn't it?
It would. I think I'd rather play an actual away game than play in the same facility.
It's worse to be at home than in the away sheds.
Yeah.
Potentially. So they play the Panthers once. We all think, I know Penrith are probably going to take, a small step back, or they might come close to the field. They're still going to be thereabouts. Any team with Dylan Edwards, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo is going to be there. So they play them at home. That's one little leg up. They only play the Sharkies once. I think the Sharks, everyone can probably agree they're going to be, they're a top third of the comp sort of team. They play them once at Suncorp. Manly, again, probably a top third team in the comp if Turbo's fit and firing.
That's another team where injuries, like if you can get their full squad on the field for most of the year, that's a big difference.
Scary team to play.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be playing them with a fit and firing Tommy Turbo. They only play Manly once. The caveat there is it's a short backup after Origin. So potentially you might see a Cherry if he's playing for Queensland, or a Turbo getting rest there, a couple of things. And they play the Chooks twice. However, round 1 and round 7. So it's both at the start of the year when they're going to be without big players. Sam Walker, Brandon Smith are going to be out of the side. So they're probably going to be big favourites in both those games.
And they're going to be working with newer combinations this year. Like they've lost some very senior players out of that side. So you've got 2 of your big names out for the start of the season, and you've got young blokes that are going to be learning to play with each other for those things. So to potentially taking time to click here.
Yeah.
I think do we have a caller on the line there, Mitch?
Oh, someone might be on the line. Mitchy's going to spin back and try and get someone on. But that was my reasons why they can win the comp, the Broncos.
A few people weighing in here on the text line and get involved. Dunny says, "Hey, Sean, oh my lord." Oh, that's not a bad
close.
one. Not a bad one for you, Sean Omerod. Are there odds of how often Pat Carrigan touches his hair again?
No, there's not, but it's a lot. He needs a bigger scrunchie.
What's
That's always
what's the over-under?
Oh, it's at least. I mean, he starts the game, looking very sharp, like he's just come out of a nightclub. The hair's looking schmick. But after 15 minutes, the scrunchie, what do you call that?
The
hair tie. Hair
Yeah.
tie. Scrunchie's more of
elastic.
an 80s sort of number. It's a big number because he's in all sorts before half time.
So would that correlate to tackles and carries? Like
Yes.
per tackle or carry?
You basically get the same number.
Yeah.
That's how many times his hair, he's getting touched. Have we got Marky on the line there from Caboolture? Wants to have a chat. What do you got for us, Mark?
Yeah, mate, when you're talking about home and away dressing rooms, when Queensland hosted the first Shield final in 94-5, it was a bit of a surprise. The ground had already started to be pulled down, so there were no dressing rooms for the cricketers. So
Wow.
they had to use the Bears dressing rooms. And the Bears dressing room had spa bars and carpet and all that sort of stuff. Well, Queensland refused to use it. They went into the visitors' dressing room with concrete floors and that sort of stuff because no one ever won coming out of the Bears dressing room.
Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good fact. I like that. And how much does
I worked there during the Shield final.
Oh, really? How much did that talk about the faith that the venue had in the Shield side that no, it doesn't matter. We can start tearing this down before they get to the end of the season.
Yeah, and they beat South Australia in Adelaide. It wasn't supposed to happen.
They did too. I remember that mate. So do you reckon that was the? Did the opposition then go into the Bears dressing room? Did they get the spars and the carpet and everything?
They had all the flash gear. Yeah.
Oh, that's a real Rocky 2 sort of scenario, isn't it? You lose your roots. You got to get back to doing the road running. Mark, how do you see the Broncos going this year? In the 8 or out of the 8?
I reckon they'll be in.
In?
Yeah.
Do you reckon they can?
Yeah.
Are you as big as Sean is on them, and they can win the comp?
On their day, they could. Like you just said, we had so many players only played half a season last year. If they can get out there and get fit and stay on the paddock, I reckon we're a reasonable chance.
Yes, Marky. That's why we love having you on the show.
Yeah,
Views like that. Beautiful. Thanks for the call, mate. We'll be watching the Broncos very intently this year. That was my reasons why. Have you got a strong view on why they can?
I think the big reason for me is I think Ben Hunt. I like a storyline. I'm a narrative sort of a guy. I think he's got unfinished business up there from that drop ball.
Oh, you're a big romantic, aren't you?
I am a romantic. I also think Ben Hunt is probably the kind of player that when in those games that Adam Reynolds was missing last year, that's the kind of player they missed. The senior guy that just the game manager, the guy that can get it, that can manage the game, keep calm heads.
Yeah.
Okay, we're under a bit of pressure, kick the corners, all that sort of stuff that the experienced halfback knows how to do.
Just quickly, Western Sydney Eagle has said, I think Cherry Evans has stepped down from Origin. I thought that was just speculation. If he has, then there you go. I apologise. That was in reference to when the Broncos play Manly. Your Ben Hunt sort of reason almost leads into one potential reason why I don't think they can win the comp. No Ezra Mam. He's out for the first 9 weeks, which means it's going to be Adam Reynolds if he's had some work done on his shoulder, if he's right for the first part of the year, assuming he is. That means it's Hunt and Reynolds as a combination. does that work from the get-go? Not sure. And I think there might just be there is definitely going to be a lot of pressure on Madge. If they don't start the year well, all the old boys will come out banging the drums like they did when he was announced as coach of the Broncos, because this is their start. The first 4 weeks, they got the Roosters in Sydney, then the Raiders in Canberra. So it's not a real easy start. Then they play Queensland rivals, the Cowboys and the Dolphins. So if you go down a couple of times to in a derby, and all of a sudden you're 0-4, the drums are beating.
That derby's going to be really interesting too, with 2 new coaches essentially in the Broncos and Dolphins game. My reason they can't is just the off season they've had. We've talked about it. There's been too many disruptions in the off season. I think that doesn't, you need a lot of things to go well in a rugby league season.
Yeah.
When you're putting in a new coach, you're bringing in new players. The Ben Hunt signing, obviously, I think is overall a positive. But your star, who was outside of Nathan Cleary, 15 minutes of Nathan Cleary was probably going to be.
He had the medal around his neck for about half an hour.
Yeah, Clive Churchill medalist. He's out net for 9 rounds for something that is the public aren't really around. There's a lot of talk that it wasn't enough. I think just too many disruptions, too many outside distractions. I don't reckon they're going to go. All right, let's move on. Let's go across the Dutch.
The Wars.
The Wars. Give me a reason why.
Okay, why they can. So their win-loss column in 2024 didn't make for great reading. However, dig a little bit deeper. They lost 8 of those games by 6 points or less. So they were in a lot of games. You play that season 5, 10, 20 times again, it has a funny way of evening up. So I think naturally they probably get a few more wins than they did last year. But the big one is James Fisher-Harris. I know it's a swap for Noah Blake, 2 big angry front rowers, but the leadership that the Fish brings is going to be enormous, and it now means they've got Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett as your starting front row. That's arguably the best in the comp.
Mate, you stole the words right out of my mouth. My reason why is James Fisher-Harris. I think he is the kind of bloke who brings the experience. He can really lift that side and the steel in that front row.
Yeah.
So give me a reason they can't.
So their draw, I really love digging into the home and away fixtures of teams, Barney. Their draw, on face value, it kind of looks okay. They've only got the Bulldogs, Panthers, Sharks and Storm once. So you look at that and go, gee, that's a pretty favourable draw. They're all away. So they're coming to Australia for all those games. So straight away, they've got to get their Aussie record going really, really good, which is always tough for going so far. But the number one reason I think they're going to struggle is the new halves combo has to click straight away. And what does that mean for their points? It's going to be Metcalf and Tamari Martin. It looks like it's going to be the 6 and 7. Their points in attack last year, they really struggled. So they were ranked second this is only behind Penrith in terms of red zone play the ball, so attacking play the balls on the opposition try line in that 20-metre zone. Ranked second in the comp, but they were 11th for points scored. So they were getting in good field position, but unable to turn that into points. And now you've got a new combination. I struggle to see how they're really going to be able to put teams away.
All right. My reason they're not going to be able to is have to be. I just think the loss of Tohu Harris too big, too late in the off season. I just think he leaves too much of a hole. All right, let's move straight on now to the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast Titans. Give me a reason why.
One word, Tino, or one name, Tino. He played 2 games last year before he did his knee. So him, and he's already doing sort of full contact training, rather, I've seen on the socials, which is getting me very excited. Give him a full year. They are a completely different side. And you've now got, I spoke about the Broncos, key players didn't play a lot of footy together. Well, it was the exact same for the Titans. Brimson played 13 games. Jaden Campbell played 15. Keano Kinney, 16, different reason because he was sort of late on the scene, but they have found an absolute gem there. So they're probably the reasons why they can definitely make a big jump out. If they get some consistency in those key spots. Des now in his second year, so the players might have a bit more of an idea around what the hell Des is talking about.
Yeah.
Because he can speak in riddles from time to time. They're a team that I think can make a big, big jump.
Mate, once again, you stole the words out of my mouth. Big Tino, I think he's the difference for that side. Like, just such an impact player on the field, a leader as well. Also, I think there's so many good rumours coming out of there. All the mail coming out of the Gold Coast at the moment is Des has got them firing. There's something bubbling. So
Regan Campbell-Gillard goes there as well. So
yes.
he gives sort of Tino a little bit of a chop out as being the big alpha in that pack. And they get Carter Gordon as well. So the Union convert comes along. But we jump straight to sort of why they can't make the 8. It's almost a bit of, well, what happened in 24 has a very real chance of happening again, like not being completely settled in the spine. All those names that I threw at you, they've been sort of put up as the potential spine combination, but I still don't get the impression that Des is 100% sold on what it is. And if they start losing games and they start moving players around, you get to the exact same spot they were last year, where there's just no consistency in the spine combinations.
See, my reason's a bit more ethereal. That the reason they can't is the Gold Coast is just a vacuum for success in sport. There's just, I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be any successful franchise that can come out of there. Prove me wrong, Gold Coast Titans. I'd love you to prove me wrong, but I'm even like, just sport goes there. It's the place sport goes to die.